Is it possible
this.
to?
Oh. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Tanushree, and welcome back to the fourth day of Women Move Forward. So, again, good afternoon to all the viewers and amazing entrepreneurs out there. This is the fourth day of our ambitious initiative, Women Move Forward, which aims to create around 100 women entrepreneurs from Jabalpur and Madhya Pradesh. I am Tanushree, the project director of Incubation Masters, and with me, I have my co host, Shreya Gupta, who is a startup consultant of Incubation Masters. Hello, Shreya. Good afternoon.
Hello, good
Hello.
afternoon, everyone. It's a special day today as we are going to talk about the impact and opportunities of globalization on women entrepreneurship. And we have two very special guests with us to speak on this topic. I would like to welcome Miss Rania from Greece and Miss Ria from Australia. Welcome, ma'am. They both also happen to be the mentor with Jabalpur Smart City Incubation Center. So as we go begin the session today, I would request both the panelists to start a quick introduction and start with you,
Okay.
Rania, first.
Uh, okay. So, we would like to start with Rania. Hi, Rania. How are you?
Hello, greetings from Greece, from beautiful Athens. To all of you, thank you very much for your kind invitation to organize together this so significant, meaningful, and resourceful, I think, webinar. My name is Rania Lampou. I'm a multi-awarded STEM instructor, co-founder of the Greek astronomy space company, Annex of Salamis in Greece. And today we're going to explore women entrepreneurship and all the challenges during the COVID pandemic and the post-COVID pandemic era. And we're going to see also how we could cope with all these challenges, these obstacles, and we have a long journey today. So may I share my presentation? Is it possible? Okay.
There is a share option there, though. You could.
Is it visible now?
No, we cannot see that. We cannot see the presentation.
No,
You have
ma'am.
to share it. Oh, yeah. We saw that. Yeah.
Not yet?
Yeah,
It's
we can see
okay.
it. Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, as I said before, I'm a multi-award winning STEM instructor. I have so far 74 awards. And recently I was elected among the top 10 women entrepreneurs featured in Fortune website. So around 50 years ago, the idea of a female entrepreneur managing her own company would have seemed ambitious at least and at best, with discrimination and gender inequality being factors working against women entrepreneurs started to rise to fame. Many women have started their own businesses in order to break free from social constraints. Women who are business owners can achieve financial independence without relying on the status quo. In the last 20 years, women entrepreneur statistics have shown that the amount of female business owners has increased by 114%. Nowadays, women have proven that they can become leaders too. So the role of women in today's business is very important because women can leverage their natural intuition and social and communication skills in order to create a lot of win-win situations in their professional groups. Moreover, interactive leadership is a characteristic of many female executives because they encourage participation, facilitate inclusion, sharing power and information. In this way, they enhance the self-esteem of others and inspire enthusiasm about the work. Globalization has been a significant characteristic of economy in contemporary times, and since 2019, the globalization unfortunately developed another parameter, the spread of the highly infectious disease, the COVID-19. COVID actually has unleashed a wave of innovation as well as new innovation challenges. It has created the need for organizations, societies, and individuals to adapt quickly to shifts and design techniques and practices to experiment and explore new options. Albert Einstein said that crisis is a blessing to humanity because crisis always brings progress. And I strongly believe that COVID crisis could also be a great resetter of economy, societies, and education, an opportunity to bring forward long-awaited reforms for development. So the profound economic and social effects of the crisis has made a substantial redefinition of the dominant paradigm's imperative. It is what we call the shake-up needed to restructure the system. Within this framework, talking about a rapid recovery and return to the former situation is not realistic. Disruption across entire sectors increase, new forms of work and remote consumption become commonplace with all their technological and geographical implications. Therefore, business model will have to be adapted in this reset. Governments have set new rules and norms to try to re-establish confidence, give economies a chance of survival, and have taken action to support local ecosystems. So we need to change perspectives on entrepreneurship. According to the World Economic Forum, it's almost certain that the way entrepreneurial businesses are affected today will have an impact on how entrepreneurship is perceived as a job choice in the future. The changes we observe today may be a double-edged sword. That means that some might state that the crisis could negatively impact the entrepreneurship, while others might suggest that the shifts we observe today could alter perceptions of entrepreneurship for the better. In recent years, entrepreneurship has become more and more associated with stereotypical high-tech startups and entrepreneurs often based in certain geographical areas and fertile environments across the world. And although the success of these young companies are undoubtedly essential for the advancement of our societies, some might argue that entrepreneurship has become a chance only for the few, for those with access to the right type of education, funding, and networks. So we need to democratize entrepreneurship and create new entrepreneurial role models that people can more easily identify with and could ultimately lower the threshold of entrepreneurship for many and stimulate people to start their own businesses. And since also the start of the COVID pandemic, more than 70% startups have had to terminate full-time employee contracts. However, while a large number of startups have suffered during the pandemic, COVID has also led to increase, as I said before, in entrepreneurial activity. We can mention automotive companies manufacturing ventilators, startups, individuals producing and selling face masks and shields, and so on. So companies and individuals all across the world have devised new ideas to respond to emerging needs and sufficiently addressed by governments. And this is a reminder for us to reconsider how we can value innovation in entrepreneurial systems. Therefore, a repurposing approach, redirecting existing knowledge, skills, networks to new needs is a fundamental survival strategy and growth community. The pandemic is an opportunity for a better organization in business and for leveraging the technological advancement also. So adaptation in business is very important. It's necessary whether it's pandemic or not. The pandemic was an opportunity for a better organization, but business excellence in a digital era, it's about how to adopt a holistic approach to strengthen the management system and processes by leverage the technological advancements for organizational growth and productivity improvement. What about women? Unfortunately, COVID may have had a healthier health impact on men, but the economic impact on the pandemic has been suffered to a greater degree by women, and especially by female entrepreneurs. And this damage to women's business ventures is due, of course, to the distinct gender roles and unequal access to finance that women have historically experienced and continue to experience in 2021. However, as I said before, many female entrepreneurs have demonstrated resourcefulness and innovation. So how COVID has affected female entrepreneurs, we can see here, first of all, muted demand for services. That means that women-owned enterprises usually operate within the sectors that were most adversely affected by the pandemic. So more than 50% of female entrepreneurs work in the retail trade, for example, which suffered greatly decreased demand due to shutdowns. Quarantine measures made in-person shopping impossible, reducing the possibility to make sales. In addition, the economic impact of the pandemic more generally meant that potential customers were less likely to have disposable income available to spend. And other sectors in which women are prominently represented suffered huge losses too. Healthy fitness centers, beauty salons were forced to close for long periods during lockdown. So we talk about serious threats to business survivals. According to recent studies, show that women entrepreneurs begin business with less capital, usually than men, because they avoid financing their business ventures using their own money. According to Forbes, only 25 of female entrepreneurs seek financing for their businesses, compared to 34 of men. And women have reasons to feel skeptical about requesting this financial support because they are less likely to receive it. When women are approved for loans, it's usually for a third less than what entrepreneurs typically receive. That means that business run by female entrepreneurs may be especially vulnerable during times of crisis because they are less likely to have reserves of capital to depend on them when income is low. So, given the sectors where female entrepreneurs be concentrated, there's a high chance that women-owned business were forced to close for extended periods because of the pandemic. And also, we're talking about it's very important chapter. It's a challenge to work-life balance because when business locked down, many schools did too. So if a female entrepreneur was able to maintain operations digitally, she often faced an additional workload to manage in the household. And although working from home can represent a positive change for many people who can avoid a commute and approach their work with greater flexibility, it can also bring new challenges for female entrepreneurs, especially if they have children. School closures meant that working mothers were forced to juggle full-time alongside their work, which had an adverse impact on work balance. And according to research, women spend an average of 2 hours a day more than men performing unpaid work at home. And they are also more likely to undertake caretaking duties both for children and elderly parents. And also, it's very important to mention that only a quarter of female entrepreneurs have employees. That means that most women-owned businesses are one woman operation. So with this business model, it's already difficult to maintain strict boundaries between work and home life. And the pandemic-related pressures at home represent an increased challenge for female entrepreneurs trying to maintain a healthy work-life balance. So we need to change adapt, and diversify. Because often they are designed to require less capital to function. They can be more easily adapted to new circumstances of the pandemic. Many small companies were able to change their direction or implement new services. Female entrepreneurs have always faced structural and societal obstacles. For example, the expectation that we'll assume the majority of the house caregiving duties while they work. But as a result, women are more resourceful and flexible in order to succeed. So these qualities have proven necessary in navigating the ever-changing circumstances of the pandemic. So we need here a more equal distribution of high school tasks, greater financial backing from banks, and support to diversify into more sustainable sectors that could make a huge difference to their ongoing success. And running a business isn't an easy task on a good day, let alone with the obstacles we're facing day to day now. After talking to hundreds of entrepreneurs all around the world, the last months can say that it's very important to have a good network. And also, we're going to see also about resilience here. Before talking about resilience, we have to say that it's important about the policy responses for women entrepreneurs to communicate the importance of maintaining and developing their business networks during the COVID pandemic, develop COVID and post-COVID networking protocols to ensure gender balance in network panels, optimize the time and timing of events, manage potential trust issues related to establishing business contacts virtually, and establish clear strategic links between networking and other components. For example, in Southeast Asia, women entrepreneurs tend to be operating in the most disadvantaged sectors or in the lower ends of value chains where they concentrate on a limited number of activities. So enabling women entrepreneurs meaningful participation in gender-sensitive entrepreneurship ecosystem has proven multiplier effects on decent employment, poverty eradications, and economic growth. It's important, it's vital for ensuring continued inclusive, resilient, and sustainable development, mostly in the countries targeted by the project. And we need to ensure access to critical support services. We need to ensure business continuity as well as assistance to reactivate business activity for women and build long-term resilience. We can mention here the Rebuilding Better project that aims to, it's a recent one, to provide support for women entrepreneurs to recover from COVID pandemic and adopt more sustainable and resilient business models. The project is targeting at least 60% women-owned small businesses in the manufacturing, service, and retail trade sectors in urban areas in Thailand, Malaysia, and Philippines, which all have a severe decline in economic output. So the project delivers interventions to improve women's entrepreneurs' access to training provision, financial services, and market information. Digitalization is a cross-cutting component. The project organizes virtual activities to ensure support during the COVID pandemic. And what will be the outputs, training, and other support to build business financial management skills, information about financial services shared, information about new and existing market opportunities delivered. So we talked before about the key pillars of resilience, because this applies not only to women, but also for all leaders of small and medium enterprise entrepreneurs. We should focus on this. First of all, leadership resilience. That means that leadership resilience is a team sport. That means it requires to fortify an entire network of relationships, taking in all stakeholders from customers and suppliers to community. Revenue resilience. That means that changes that cut off revenue streams can jeopardize companies' future. Thousands of businesses have accelerated sales problems under the pandemic, but often customers perceive such sales efforts as desperate. So this jeopardizes connection engagement with the customer. So this scenario can be avoided by having prepared in advance for market shifts and by initiating and nurturing resilient relationships with your customers. Organizational resilience, that means that a stronger organization will not allow to survive shifts, but will also strengthen the culture and reveal hidden abilities. For example, in the present pandemic, many entrepreneurs and business owners are discovering new emergent leaders and employees with critical and previously untapped skills. So the current crisis caught many business owners without an explicit plan for cutting personnel expenses, whether by workforce reduction or salary cut. So while the need is still fresh, we have to create a written plan for cost cutting in the event of a shift. This is very important. And financial resilience, because a surprising number of entrepreneurs leave the details of their finances to their accountants, usually, or financial advisors. And this is a big mistake, because the most important element of preparing to be financially resilient is to have a firm grasp on how money moves through our company. Operational resilience means that one of the biggest surprises of the current pandemic has been the fragility of supply chains. Therefore, it is important to map out supply chain from raw materials to the end customer. This means earmark primary, secondary suppliers and identify all potential vulnerabilities. So, how was the condition of women before COVID and in general? The integration of global market has opened today for the foreign products to enter any countries and has threatened actually the future of women entrepreneurs. Women entrepreneurs have to compete with foreign businessmen who have superiority of funds, technology, infrastructure, market information, and government support. For example, Indonesia is one of the countries that encourages the development of rural areas, and women entrepreneurship in rural areas will increase obviously the local economy, creating employment opportunities and decreasing the poverty currently. So according to the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, there are a million women starting or running businesses. That means that millions of women are impacting the global economy. Million of entrepreneurs employ many people, creating new jobs. Innovation, we talked before, it's very important. Women usually consider themselves strong innovators. We talked about, for example, in Indonesia, the opportunities offered by women entrepreneurs help grow markets and increase employment prospects. And very interesting statistics that are very, very recent now. These are 2021. According to this research, 47% of women started a business in the last year compared to 44% of men. And the reason that most women step into the world of entrepreneurship is the desire usually to pursue the passion. This is the first reason. The second reason is the flexibility and, of course, the income after. 62% of women business owners are between 40 and 59 years old. And of course, more than 9 million people are employed by women-owned companies. Women also of color are responsible for from 89% of newly created businesses in 2019. This number, it's interesting because has increased by nearly 163% in the last 45 years. So 260 African American women open new businesses every day. This is a very pretty incredible statistic, considering that women in color make up 39% of the USA female populations. Also, 10% of females launched the business in the health care sector. And 62% of female owners stated that their business is the main source of income. Because women-owned businesses are much more than casual hobbies. Usually, women are more likely to run lifestyle businesses than those which provide additional income. This is usually the concept. 88% of all women-owned businesses generate less than $100,000 yearly. And in the first half of 2019, 10 companies with women owners, it's actually important to say here that become unicorns. Unicorns means that a privately held startup company valued at over $1 billion. Also, it's interesting to see the difference between male and female here, because women receive an average loan size. Actually, they get less size, less loan, because women usually don't take risks and they don't seek financing, as I said before. They're afraid of asking loans and in general financing. The success rate of crowdfunding for women stands up 69% for women, and for men 61%. And only also another statistic, 13% of construction, high-tech manufacturing are led by women. Women are more likely to feel stressed about their business, unfortunately. And also female-owned businesses are safer for investors. 56% of our staff have at least one female on board. 2019 have surpassed all expectations, with 56% of companies having women in top executive positions. 10% of healthcare, out of 4 startups are owned or founded by women, and 59% of startups have programs designed to increase the number of women in leadership positions. As I said before, unfortunately, only 25% of women seek financing. 22% of women search for funding to launch a new project. And interesting, women use credit cards for their business, and female entrepreneurship statistics indicate that women who do seek funding are successful, unfortunately, only the 31% of cases. So we need actually, there are some questions, there are a lot we don't know. And there are questions that can be answered only through an impact evaluation approach that measures the outcomes of a program intervention after excluding other possible factors. It is actually disheartening that too many governments, institutions, organizations, and project managers are reluctant to carry out such necessary studies because they are seen as expensive or time-consuming and technically complex, because the findings can be politically sensitive, particularly the negative, and often the data is scarce and poor in quality besides. Many evaluations have also been criticized because the results come too late, do not answer the right questions, or are not carried out with sufficient analytical rigor. If programs are poorly designed, do not reach their intended beneficiaries, or are wasteful, with the right information they can be redesigned, improved, or eliminated is necessary. So we need to set goals and targets, the establishment of a coherent monitoring and evaluation strategy in support of female entrepreneurs is center of setting goals and targets, because goals, of course, are defined as the objectives that the supporting entity wants to achieve. Measuring progress towards the accomplishment of goals is done through the creation of indicators, which are the variables used to measure progress towards the goals. And there we have the intermediate indicators and the final indicators that measure the final goal. And collecting data, because data collection for any strategy analysis can be both costly and time-consuming, but the main challenges for those seeking to support female entrepreneurs is how to take advantage of existing data sources and how to plan additional data collection to maximize its use. Actually, it's not an easy task to determine the number of women entrepreneurs from official statistics in either developed or developing countries. The figures are often incomplete or based on sample analysis. There is no unique formal definition of what constitutes a female enterprise, since no clear analytical threshold for this concept exists. But I think that the workshops and seminars should be organized to share results among local governments and civil organizations, and further findings and recommendations must be accessible to community councils, local women's organizations, and other groups representing communities to whom programs are targeted. And we can mention the World Bank that offers some programs targeting women entrepreneurs, and World Bank is producing real data and information on what is working to encourage economic advancement of women in developing countries. We talked about how globalization affects women, and it's important, as I said before, a network that open up important avenues for women entrepreneurs. We need to assimilate into a new technological culture to assess all the financial credit environment. We need to change behaviors of both banks and attitudes toward women-owned businesses to improve financial access, and behavior of governments to eliminate policies restricting women in business. Women access to credit. Also, the women entrepreneur must assess the financial and credit environment in the area of operation, and that means they need to know all the parameters. And as we said before, women typically apply for smaller loans, so this conception has to change. And here we can see a model. This actually how to adopt the digitalization in your company. It's actually a journey. This journey comprises, according to experts, 5 smart phases. The first one is the aim. This is actually the purpose, the objective. They set the foundation of this journey by developing a sense of purpose. And also, it's actually architect. Once the aim is defined, next is the assess stage, because every organization needs to know as where to do they stand at the current point in time, from the product leadership, competitiveness, talent availability, operations effectiveness, technology adoption, cultural and workplace practices, and many more. And it is only that once you know where you are, also you establish where you need to reach, then the journey becomes directional and relevant. After comes architecting of the business structure, processes, and talent. And it this states that you develop a balanced set of improvement initiatives and organization performance goals. And of course, as action needs to be taken to enable the identify improvement initiatives. Advanced stage of the business excellence, a continuous improvement phase, requires regular benchmarking business with the global scenario and new competitive threats. So very quickly, online businesses leverage many tools actually to save money and time, from social media management tools to online voicing tools to team communication tools. They should know when to give up. A part of being successful is know how when to give up in order to cut your losses. It may be strategy, personal, or even entire business venture. They usually focus on what they love. They focus on the big picture. They don't waste time on insignificant details. They solve problems and they deal with real needs. They differentiate themselves and they produce valuable content. And we need to, first of all, to plot the journey before starting. You need to get organized. It will help you complete tasks, to keep detailed records, analyze your competition, understand the risks and rewards. Most important of all, be creative and innovative. Stay focused, prepare to make sacrifices, provide great service. That means put customer value first. You need to deliver value to your customer. Be consistent. Consistency is a key component to making money in business. You have to keep doing what is necessary to be successful day in and out. It's important also to use cross-functional teams to plan and design this modernization effort. A functional expert from areas such as IT, strategy, customer interaction, operations can all work together in an agile environment to design the changes around a set of coordinated specifications. It's important to simplify your architecture using a variety of coding language. For example, if you have ITC systems and structures, it's also important to design for flexibility and speed. So we need modular systems that can rapidly accommodate the range of possibilities for connection and configurations. And we need to engage with workforce and culture. That means that an ICT modernization is often seen solely as a matter of change in technology. But changes in technology, any change, sustain themselves only if people and your collaborators, your colleagues accept and embrace them. So you must therefore align your new systems with the company's culture, starting with a clear recognition of the new habits that people will need to adopt. You also will need to adopt, of course, a service mindset. So a modern approach treats technology as a set of services that the company can consume and integrate as needed. Be agile, user-centric. So we need to put the customer first and invest in resources that make the change stick. Organized by capabilities. It's also very important. And also, your goal is to find companies that can deliver mutual benefits and in which you can develop a working relationship that involves mutual commitment, creative collaboration. Currently, I'm working, as I said before, I'm the co-founder of the Greek Astronomy Space Company in Greece, and here it's a Greek organization that promotes a broad interest in astronomy and disseminates knowledge in astronomy, astrophysics, but not only to the general public, but also to underprivileged children. We are offering free courses for refugees, for Children Oncological Hospital, for children with special education needs, and here we can see some photos of our workshops. And I want to say also that it's very important, as I said before, that there is no doubt that women have made an enormous effort to be present in the world of entrepreneurship. Their impact is remarkable, and there is a likelihood that will only grow. Women have shown that they have a higher company success rate, but they tend to take fewer risks. This is the problem. Companies that are led by women prove to be a safer option for investors, as I said before, but yet they still struggle to obtain the capital they need according to women entrepreneurship statistics we showed before. This is likely to change in the upcoming years as female presence in the world of business becomes the norm. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any question, I am at your disposal.
Thank you, Rania. Thank you so much for this amazing presentation. It was quite brief and interesting to know about the women around the globe. Before we ask question, I would really like to introduce our second guest, Dr. Ria. Hi, hello, how are you?
Hi, thank you so much, Tanushri and Shreya, for having me here. And I'm also very grateful to all the nice people of the Jabalpur Incubation Center for always setting up these very interesting events. So if it's okay with you, I will share also my screen now. Can you see the presentation?
No.
Not yet. Okay. Is it coming up? Do you see it now?
No, I'm not able to see it.
No, ma'am.
Can you share this? Is there an option down there?
Okay, let me try again.
Yeah.
Going back.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, coming up?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, today I will talk here about the impact of globalization on women entrepreneurship. And so why am I here? Well, this is a little bit an overview of what I've been doing in the field of entrepreneurship and also globalization. But I in fact would share more also a personal view. So what made me really think internationally, in fact, is that I have lived in 7 countries on 3 continents. And that experience really makes you realize that it is a great opportunity to connect with different cultures, to people from other countries, because it shapes also your creativity and also your innovation spirit. And it brings also more entrepreneurship type of ideas to the front. So I see 2 big current trends in globalization. The first one is about digital technology. Like before, without having the tools of the internet platforms, it was very hard to connect with people in another country, right? You had to travel, and that took already sometimes a long time, and then settle in a hotel, and so it took a lot more time. But today, it's not that we have to go to other places in the world. No, the world is in fact coming to us, right? We get, in fact, the world into our house and our office easily. So that is a really big trend today. And the other trend is about focus on sustainability and the environment. So it's all more about produce and consume locally. And that in the future seems to be going further and further. Now, how can you combine this then with globalization? Well, I'm not going to tell you straight away. I will tell you a little bit later how that can be combined. So let's go back a little bit to digital technology and women entrepreneurs. So I've been doing for a few years now already study on the use of digital technology by women entrepreneurs, but we're also on digital entrepreneurship and digital collaboration in relationship to happiness of women entrepreneurs and how it all increases also their business income. And so it is clearly that women are in fact expert in using certain digital tools for social interaction. And that is also, if you look at the statistics from social media marketing, it is clear that, for example, in Facebook, women tend to have 8% more friends than, for example, men. And even in LinkedIn, there are already more women on that platform than men. So it's totally different than years before when we were not using social media platforms, when we were still working like with traditional networking organizations, like, for example, Chamber of Commerce. There, the men were a lot more present than women. So this is definitely changing nowadays. And the fact that 8% more friends women have on these networks means also that they use these networks in another way. They really use them to socialize. Men seems to use these ones more for looking at events, politics, news, but not really to interact that much. So in that way, in fact, women are one step ahead, because also there is a trend of having more and more interaction with these platforms as well. Now, on the other hand, we see that women in smaller businesses and in low and middle income countries, they need to still catch up a little bit. So, for example, there is a report from the big providers, and they say that about 10% women in low and middle income countries are 10% less likely than men to have or own a mobile phone. And 20% or less women, in fact, have the access to a mobile internet. So there we can still catch up a little bit more, but I'm very confident that that will not take more than a decade. It will go pretty fast. And then we also looked with the European Union. We are working on a project about digital technology, how we can bring that easier to women entrepreneurs, especially the ones that are living in poverty. And so we are, in fact, developing a curriculum that can help digital experts to bring their services in a better way to women entrepreneurs. Because we found that traditional IT classes are not attractive for women entrepreneurs. In fact, in Europe, we see that less and less girls are taking classes in this part, so in the IT and technology. So we need to develop other ways to bring to women. And we found out that the one-on-one interaction and really focus on a problem that the women have in their company, that is a much better way, because then they can see also how it can increase their business income. And Rania was already saying that still women take most of the household task and also the caring task on their shoulders. And there is some improvement in that area. Still, women have less time, in fact, to spend in their business because of this aspect. So if we can help with digital technology to reduce the time that women have to spend either for the care of others, but also for in their business, that would be very beneficial. So that's also a way that digital tools and digital technology can help women entrepreneurs. And then we need to also include the happiness factor, because if you bring something that to women as well as to men that doesn't really you don't really enjoy, then of course it will not help. So we need to take that into account as well. And then we can't forget about digital collaboration, because this is a real benefit nowadays. It is so much easier to collaborate using these digital tools than before. Now, what about the sustainability and the environment, and then women entrepreneurship? Well, it is clear that women are in fact masters in starting social enterprise. There are a lot more social enterprises started by women than by men. And we found out that when we looked at the happiness indicator of women entrepreneurs, that one of the important parts, besides being your own boss, besides having flexibility, besides being able to start a business that makes you professionally more fulfilled, a very important part for their happiness was also that they could do something to help the community. So that is a really important part often for a lot of women to start their own business instead of having a job, in fact. And in that way, now I'm coming back to what I was saying. How can you combine this sustainability and this focus on the environment when we are focusing more on produce locally and consume locally? Well, it is possible, and you have like a business. Well, first, of course, the best way is when you want to go international, that you really have a good founding business in your own home country, because you know the culture there, you know the customers there, so it's much easier. But as soon as you see that this business model that you created there, then test out if you can find the same demand for your product in another place. And when you do this, what you can see is try it out simply on a small scale. Ask the people in the other country, maybe your friends that have lived in the other country or that are in the other country. Do you think it will work there? When you see that that business model also works there, then it's easy to implement it also in the same in that country. So it's not simply anymore about exporting, because that is going to be more and more limited. It will be like more having the manufacturing and or the service in the place itself in another country. And so, in fact, it's based also on the franchise model. As you know, probably, when you have these very successful franchises, what they do is they start often in their own place. Then that business model works, and then they copy it for other countries. And in some cases, they have to adjust it a little bit. Like when you have a Coke in the United States, it's doesn't taste the same like the Coke we have in Europe or the Coke, for example, that we have here in Australia. So that's what you do then. You adjust to the customs and the culture and the demand or of the other country. So I'm going to conclude because I'm really curious about questions that the audience will ask us too. So I would like to give a little bit of advice on, in fact, the digital tools and the new technologies. In fact, they give us more opportunities. So please grab that opportunity and use them. But don't forget to serve humans. And what I mean with that is when you look at this picture, you see there a device developed to attach to your in your car where you are driving to your wheel. Well, that doesn't make sense, right? Who can work and drive at the same time? So this is kind of a useless product, and that's why it's important to not only think about the technology, but also, is this technology or is this what I'm doing here? Is my product really serving somebody? Is it in need? If that doesn't work, then your product doesn't make sense, not in your home country, but also not in another country, right? So that is very important to know. And another example of this is like when we had in the beginning all these fit like bracelets that you could use around your wrist. They were very, very popular for a few months. And then nobody was buying them anymore. Why? Why was that? Well, they made the bracelet, but they didn't take into account what the humans really wanted to use it for. After 1 month, it was not interesting anymore to know, okay, I did this today. So the interesting part of it of the data that was created was not useful for the humans, for the user anymore. So then that means it really dropped the in being interesting for the customer. Another advice here is dream big. That's why I have this baby here, and he's really having a big dream, right? He's going to be very strong. So dream big and act fast, because nowadays that is one of the maybe less attractive part of the digital world, is that your competition is not only in your own country anymore. It is coming from everywhere in the world. So if you have an idea, don't waste time, because somebody else will probably come up with that idea too. So it is important that you act very fast and that you fill the gap as soon as possible. And then my last advice here, collaboration inside and outside your business. Inside means that what I say here, teamwork makes a dream work. So here you see some of my colleagues at GOC, and you see on the mobile phone there, that was me. So I couldn't be in the live meeting there, but that doesn't matter. We worked still together. So use the digital tools where you can to make that teamwork work. Another important thing here is every member in your company, even the person that maybe cleans the floors, every person has some ideas that might be brilliant. So make sure that you listen to everybody, because they can come up with very interesting things that you might not notice, but they do. Also, another thing is everybody in your company has connections. So, and all these connections can be useful also for the business. And when you really appreciate these connections of any of your employees or your colleagues and members you work with, it can advance your business. So my most important advice is listen to the people you work with. And then what kind of collaborations can you have outside? Well, nowadays with digital tools, it's very easy to work also, for example, with people in the same sector. So I give there the example of shoes and dresses. Say that you have a company that makes shoes. Well, why don't you look up who is making dresses that go well with your shoes? And why don't you collaborate with that company? And you can even share your customers, because your customers probably don't need only shoes, they also need dresses. And the customers of the dress company, they also need shoes. So that will make both companies stronger, and even can, in fact, create new kinds of products, because you could have maybe shoes that go well with certain dresses, right? So this is a simple example, but it can be used for every sector, in fact. Another way to collaborate is with complementary sectors. So here I give the example of NASA and an artist. So I know an artist in the Netherlands, and he worked together with NASA to clean up waste that's in space. So what did they do? He was able to transform the waste that were coming from space and that was burned in creating it as kind of a firework. So instead of having the waste burn up without any interesting effect of it, no, the artist made it possible that it was in a way that it was really enjoyed by people as fireworks. And then you can also, of course, collaborate with supporting companies. So that can go from IT, but also in other services. And that can be very useful as well. So I hope that gives you some ideas. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I'll look forward to all the questions.
Thank you so much, Rania and Ria. I mean, it was amazing to see your presentations. And I do believe that networking is a key tool right now because of the technology which has come up, you know, collaboration, networking. The more you hear about the ideas, the more you get an idea. the how to progress, and of course not wasting time, keeping everything aside. So moving ahead, I would really like to talk about what is happening in Madhya Pradesh and what are we planning to do. So I would like to talk briefly about an initiative called Women Move Forward 2021. The government of Madhya Pradesh, and especially Jabalpur Smart City, Jabalpur Incubation Center, I should say, has been implementing several policies and programs for the development of women entrepreneurship in our region, although entrepreneurship among women is a recent origin. Despite of all the hurdles, women stand tall and very strong from the rest of the crowd and are applauded for their achievements in the respective fields. We have seen many women entrepreneurs from Jabalpur coming forward and marking their presence in the startup map of the country. To promote this further, we introduced Women Move Forward, where we encourage more women to come forward, of course, and start their journey. And Jabalpur Incubation Center will help them in all the possible ways, especially in the technology, which is important, like creating a web portal or an e-commerce portal or social media handles, promoting them all over the space, of course, with no cost at all. So, taking this discussion further, I would really like to ask Ria. So, Ria, how about the current position of women startup ecosystem is in your country? And what is your take on the progress of women entrepreneurship in India?
Okay. Well, the status at the moment of startups here is also like this explosion that Rania was talking about. It is a lot more appreciated, and it's also a lot more encouraged. Like when I was at university already a while ago, I was never, in fact, explained to or thought that besides having a job, another option could be being a business owner, right? And that has changed now also, like in the educational sphere here. We are a lot more focusing on already, in fact, from a young age to give that option already to even young people. Like it's not only you, it's not your only choice being an employee. You can have your own business as well. So that has changed so much, and that is starting more and more. Now, I am also the co-founder of the Migrant Women in Business. It's also an incubator, but we focus on migrant women because it's so much harder when you come in a new country, and it's so much harder then to find a job. But often you have really interesting ideas because you come from another culture, from another situation, and you could bring that to the country of or your new home country, in fact. So that's what we are helping to start up here now too. So, and in fact, we have some women also from India who are part of our group, and we are very proud of them because they are doing great. And I think it is really very, very good, and I really am very proud to be able to speak here because I think what you guys do here with helping, and I think 100 women, maybe you will go over it. That would even be better. Um, Helping them really start, I think that will make such a big difference because when women start a business, it often is not only for the women important, but it's also for the whole family because they focus on also getting a better future, like for their kids. And so that is also, it's not only for this generation, but it will get forward and it will be paid forward to the next generation. And that is important also that more women are starting to be role models as entrepreneurs, not only for the girls, but also for the boys, because they can also see, like, wow, my mom can do this. So it is very important, and I'm really proud of you guys that you are supporting so many women.
Thank you so much. Such nice words to hear. Thank you. And with your support, we'll go, I think, bounds and bounds. Rania, I would like to hear from you the same. How about the ecosystem in Greece, and what do you think about the women in India? Oh, Hello, Rania. Are you there? I think her internet. Okay, so we will come back once Rania comes back, and we will continue that. I'll give it to Shreya now. Shreya, please go ahead.
The current wave of globalization and digitalization has greatly improved the lives of women worldwide. How do you think the aspiring women entrepreneurs this can leverage this and seize the benefits of this? Of globalization and digitalization, I would request Dr. Ria to answer this.
Okay. Shreya, could you repeat the first part of the question, or maybe Tanushri, you can, because it's very difficult to hear. There's something with the
No
connection.
problem. So Dr. Ria, can I ask Rania the same question before we progress to the
Yeah,
next,
I
please?
had technical problem and I was off.
No
Can you
worries.
tell?
So, as Dr. Ria said about the ecosystem in, of course, Australia and how she sees India and the examples around. So, what is your take on the position of the ecosystem in Greece, and what is your take on the progress of Indian entrepreneurship, women entrepreneurship?
Well, it's very surprising. I am expert in STEM education. STEM is the acronym of science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Is the new trend in education worldwide, which has started from USA and in Australia. I think it's going very well, but unfortunately, it isn't integrated in any other country in the world. We have started now to promote this. So in Greece, you will be surprised that there are women who have invested in STEM education, that they have created small businesses about STEM education, and that have a huge, huge profit about this. Because, of course, they have realized the importance of STEM education, the value of this, the creativity, all these values that cultivate in students, developing how we develop skills in our students, how we remove all the barriers to the traditional education and all this. And it's very interesting because it's a huge challenge to remove the conception that science is only for boys and not for girls. It's a huge challenge that still we can see here in schools and in education and all around the world. So I think it's great for me and for women. It's a great effort for women to start businesses, especially in science education, and to see women and not physicists, for example, to start this. Um, in Greece also, we have a big increase of women entrepreneurship and fitness and gyms and hair and all the stuffs. And I think that the key word is innovation, creativity, originality, because without innovation, you can't succeed. I think this is the key. But at the same time, you need to have a humanitarian profile. I mean that my company, we always try to approach the privileged children also, and also extended this with international projects that implemented now. I have founded 5 international projects that are implemented in Africa and Asia. So what I'm doing now here, I'm trying to do it also in Africa and Asia. And of course, now with the COVID pandemic, our challenge was digitalization, online learning, which is very difficult because it's difficult to teach STEM. STEM online, how to do experiments online. You need tutorials, you need instructions step by step. It's not easy. So I think that I'm very optimistic about all this course of women. I'm very happy about the rise of women in entrepreneurship. And I also think that we need all this innovation, especially in the educational sector. And as I mentioned in my presentation, the healthcare, there are more women that are involved in their business. It's So I got this was my opinion.
No problem. No. I mean, it's lovely to hear you and Ria talking about.
Could you hear me, or there was a technical connection
Yeah.
connectivity problem?
No worries. We understand internet glitches are, we can't do anything. It's a natural disaster everywhere, I can say, you know. So I'll just give the stage to Shreya, where Shreya can ask the second question. Answer.
Yeah. The current wave of globalization and digitalization has greatly improved the lives of women worldwide. How do you think the aspiring women entrepreneurs this can leverage this and seize the benefits of this way of globalization and digitalization? I would request Rania to answer this.
Mm-hmm. Digitalization is actually a gift for us because I'm talking of educational, the part of an educator, because we were largely unprepared, educators all over the world, and we were stuck in traditional practices. And there are many teachers here, for example, in Greece, that they didn't know how to use a computer. They lack basic ICT skills. So you can understand we can't talk about entrepreneurship or anything else if we have many, many teachers in public, especially schools, that they don't know how to use computers. So I think that digitalization, we are in the fourth industrial revolution with artificial intelligence, smartphones, and Internet of Things. So we need to leverage all this treasure we have in order to advance in our on all the entrepreneurship, but also in all spheres of life. And here I want to say something. It's important because we are also at the threshold of the fifth industrial revolution. Experts of the fourth industrial revolution tell us that the fourth industrial revolution has failed because we have ignored the human factor, the human dimension. So we shouldn't forget that entrepreneurs and customers and all the others are not robots. So humans must go along with machines, and we must maintain human characters when we teach, when we sell, when everything else. Human factor, human dimension, communication, trust, mutual collaboration, all that is very, very important. This is.
Right. Thank you so much. And yeah, so the same question to Dr. Ria too.
Okay. Yes, sure. Yes, I completely agree with Rania. It is in very important to keep that human aspect in everything we do. And that was indeed the case. That's why before some of, like I gave already the example of the fit bracelet, but there are other examples, and that's why also a lot of the dot-com enterprises didn't. A lot of them didn't succeed, in fact, because they were ignoring what the customer in the end really wanted. So it is important to keep that in mind. And it's also important, I think, when we are talking about digitalization, that we also keep, in fact, the culture aspect in the different countries that we want to work with into consideration. And that in one way, it becomes easier to connect with everybody in the world. And I see that in some way we get to the same kind of customs and things that we are doing. But on the other hand, it is also still interesting to embrace certain very unique, maybe cultural aspects and customs that we have, because that will give an added value to certain innovations, maybe things that I don't see, but you coming from another culture can see this. And that's why also, so we started the Young Dream Creators program, because we see that their kids often come up with ideas that are unbelievable, that we as adults don't see anymore. And that is the same with women. Sometimes we as women see things that men don't see. or we don't see as women what men see. So it is an added value if we can all work together and all embrace maybe certain uniqueness things that we have, and that can come to creating innovating products. And that's why I also think that it is important to have more women in entrepreneurship, because we bring often products and services that we see as very useful because we understand the world of women, of course. So that is why I think it is very important to, and that can be combined with digital technology and use that, because it will advance even more. It will maybe next 10 years, in the next 10 years, we might not speak over the computer anymore. Maybe it will be with virtual reality, and we will maybe stand in the same room while we talk and still being in other countries. So there's still so much to come and so much innovations to come. But if we as women entrepreneurs can be part of it, I think it is very important.
Lovely. So nice to hear. Before I proceed, there is one interesting question I have here. Asha Rai has asked this to the ladies. Ladies, can you please tell us any global platform where a woman entrepreneur can put their products, like in the international market, like Amazon, maybe, anything there that the outreach will be good for them? Anyone would like to answer this?
Yes, well, there are several platforms, of course, that are available. In fact, we, with migrant women in business, we created our own platform for the migrant women here in Australia. Why did we do that? Because some other bigger platforms, they didn't take into account what women were really needed, what they needed. For example, a little example was that women wanted an easier back office so that they could easier navigate through all the details of putting a product on the platform. And that was especially important because since we are working with migrant women, often of them the English is their second language, so it's not their first language, and sometimes it's very hard to understand things of these international platforms. So that's why we created our own. So that's even a possibility that you also maybe start creating your own platform if you want, that you think that serves better. You don't always have to go for the existing international platform. Maybe even that would be something that Jabalpur Incubation Center has a platform for all the women entrepreneurs. Simply giving some ideas. That doesn't mean you have to do it, but that is an option, of course. So yeah, I'm not going to really promote one platform over the other, but there are certainly that are international active already, but there is also possibility to create own platforms that can be very successful.
Cool, perfect. And Rania, what about you? Any
Yes, I can talk.
international platform?
Yes, I am collaborating with many scientific institutions, foundation, astronomical unions. So I can talk from this experience that there are many associations about girls and coding, for example, which are very profitable around the world. And as I said before, it's a new trend in education. So they can explore many platforms about how we can encourage girls and STEM in education, not only in developed but also in developing countries. We can search and find many on the internet.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rania and Rila. So, Arshad, I hope you got the answer by the mentors here. If anything, you can, come to us and we'll help you for sure. So we'll move ahead. I think this should be the last question for y'all. As I said, as my opening remarks, women in our region are very keen to start their own venture. Like even me, I would love to start my own venture. And as part of we Women Move Further initiative, what we are doing as a Jabalpur, we are seeking 100 women entrepreneurs and giving them technology support, I can say. More than technology, of course, hand holding and, as you all said, networking and collaborating. Of course, technology being the main part where, where many of us lack the right support. Just putting down a question. What do you think these women or entrepreneurs should do to increase their chances to cater the service in other countries? Is there anything? I mean, if I am doing, if I'm a part of the incubation, I've done the technology and everything. So, what do you think the chances of catering to the service of the other nation will be easier? How to go ahead? Any tips where you can give the young entrepreneurs where they start with us and looking forward for the global touch? I will say, let's take Rania. Rania, please let us know your take on the same.
I have connectivity issues and I didn't hear all the question.
Should I repeat this again? Oh,
yes,
yeah. Ria, did you get to hear, or should I repeat this again?
Yes, I think you wanted to hear some tips how the young entrepreneurs can go international. Is that correct?
Yes. So I'll just repeat it. Like, what do you think these women entrepreneurs should do to increase their chances of catering the services in other countries?
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll let Rania go first.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have already founder, as I said before, of 5 international projects, and this, you will be surprised, but this happened only on social media. I didn't have any sponsor at all. I did it on my own, and in a few weeks, over 2,000 teachers were registered in my programs. So I think that social media is a very, very powerful tool that we have in our hands. And of course, that we said before, it's about networking. And and of course, we have to highlight the interactive leadership style of women, because I said before, women are more likely than men to interact and to communicate. So we need to leverage our talent and this gift in order to be more efficient as entrepreneurs. So I think this opening to international markets needs actually, as I said before, networking, interaction, communication. This is I have to say from my own personal experience. I have to highlight this. I didn't have any sponsorship. I did this only through social media, through Facebook, especially. So, I mean that there are free, non-expensive ways to advertise your products and to become popular. Free and expensive ways through social media, fortunately.
Perfect. And Dr. Ria, any tips you want to give us?
Yes, I agree with Rania. It's through these social networks, it's so much easier now than before to go international. And what I was also saying in my presentation, make sure that your product, if you really are focusing on a certain country, make sure that your product or services is really tailored towards the customer there, because sometimes a product that works in your own country might not work in another country. For example, if you have somebody who makes shoes in India and it is made out of fabric, it will work, for example, in the country that I am born in Belgium, for only a few months a year, because for the rest of the year it rains there awfully. So then we can't use shoes in fabric. So then okay, I need to use another type of material to be able to sell my shoes in that country. So that is important, that you really listen to, either if you have friends in your own country who lived in these countries, listen to them because they have a lot of background information, or simply connect through digital networks with people that live in these countries and test out what they say about your product, if it will work there, yes or no. So that is always very valuable to know before you start in another country, and that saves you time too. And also, often they can give you tips like how to adjust your product. And that's something that we also help companies on an international level with the GOC. So that's why we help you guys as well. So that is one of the strengths that are important to go international.
Lovely. Yes, I agree with both of you all, because whenever we start something, we are always looking to go ahead, like Asia Pacific, Australia, Europe, the second or the third stage of a product. And then we are always stuck saying that how should we go about? That's a question mark which comes to, I think, everyone from your side, from us also, if there's a market there. So I will, of course, conclude now the questions. I hope the viewers are here and very interested to know, more about you all. Maybe we can take it later on also more in detail as we move further towards the end of this beautiful, amazing, wonderful session by you boys. I would like to end this with the concluding remarks from both of you. As you both are an inspiration to many, including me, I am sure there is a lot to learn from your experiences. I would like to thank you all first, and would like you to highlight any key learnings that you have done in your journey. Maybe one line you can share it with the audience as a concluding remark, so we can close it in a bit more. So I'll give Dr. Ria.
Okay. Well, since we are going to do it very brief, I would say don't give up. There's always something that you can do and that you can bring forward. So don't give up. Go for it.
How about Rania? Anything you want to say?
Follow your passion. Follow your
I'm sorry?
passion and don't give up. Follow your passion and don't be disheartened by difficulties or any obstacles. Keep going. Beside although the hardships and obstacles. And I want to say that
Yeah, please.
leaders, real leaders are not born, are forced in crisis. We have seen how many women entrepreneurs have risen during the corporate pandemic, because real leaders are forced in crisis. There's those who pave the way for others and are guides us through difficult times. It's very important to say that also.
Thank you so much. So with this, we conclude an insightful session today on behalf of the entire team of Jabalpur Smart City Incubation Center and Incubation Master. I would really like to thank you both for sparing your time to us and coming for the session today, where we see 100 women entrepreneurs coming for Women Move Forward, and we are supporting the technology and the mentors like you all. We would really like to host you again back soon. And thank you. Be safe, Dr. Ria and Rania. And we hope to meet you soon physically too. Till then, thank you again for the session. Me and Shreya are grateful to have you both here.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I will say goodbye from our side, from India to Greece and Australia. Till then, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
so
very much
much.
for this
Thank you.
opportunity.
Thank you.